I start, we have noted all of you who have signed up for this webinar. Yeah, and the clubs that you represent. Please stay on mute throughout the webinar. Can you put your questions in the chat room as and when required, as and when you feel fit? We do have a question and answer session at the end. So if you're a little bit uncomfortable in typing in your questions during the following slides, please make a note and we will endeavor to answer all your questions at the end of the webinar. This webinar, as you may have noticed, I am recording it. So please keep yourself on mute, and it will be available on our website within the next few days. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a healthy agenda here, right? We have some key information to pass on to you and to share with you during this evening. 34 clubs, some 50 people on the webinar, which is a really good uptake. Many thanks for your attendance this evening. So I'll crack on going through the agenda. We're going to give you a little bit of an update. We're going to speak about the Squash Wales roadmap and return to play. I'm going to bring you up to speed with some membership options and a new operating sort of model that we're looking to conduct, and some next steps, and then we'll take the questions and answers. So tonight, myself and David Evans, the performance director, we are going to present the various slides. So at this stage, I'll kick off. So just giving you an update on where we are on our journey during the last 12 months. So during the last 12 months, we have been very busy. We've continued to be active, to deliver and to add value despite severe COVID restrictions. I will enlarge on our membership a little bit later in this presentation. There has also been significant staffing and board changes in this period. As you may know, a previous staffing review was undertaken in early 2020. More recently, as I alluded to earlier, Phil Barker, who's on this call, started yesterday in his role as the Regional Development Officer for the North. So some sad news, Mike Howe, just last week, recently announced his retirement after nearly 40 years in the post. Yeah. Can you ensure you're still on mute, please? Yeah. After 40 years in the post, that is retiring and will be stepping down as the league organizer. Also, our administrative support, Danielle Brown, she is stepping down to actually start up her own company, and she's leaving us at the end of the week. We wish both of them the best of luck in their future endeavors, and thank the both of them for their valid service over the previous years. There's been changes also within the Squash Wales board. We have seen some significant movement in the last 6 months with new board members appointed for finance, governance, HR, and development. All have been appointed as we look to continually improve our effectiveness and efficiency. During the last year, we delivered a package of opportunities for all our membership to engage and have continually offered informative webinars on a raft of topics, including coaching, refereeing, safeguarding, positive youth development, along with our virtual fitness sessions for juniors, females, adults, masters, all in the last 12 months. Dave will now talk you through our return to play and Squash Wales roadmap. Over to you, Dave.
Thanks, Roy. I won't keep you too long on the next couple of slides, but as you can read these and go through these at your own leisure. As you can see, the first slide is just the Welsh Government alert levels, not specific to sport, but just in general and of where we are, and as we move up and down the levels, what it's likely to entail. If you go on to the next one, Roy. A similar slide again from the Welsh Government with the alert levels. This one is a little bit more, specific to the sport. And as you can see, when you've got 5 minutes, you can look at the slides yourself of what it means at each level. It's only a guideline, and as you'll see with a lot of things that the government have been doing, although we're perhaps in level 4, we can do certain things from level 3. So this is quite a fluid chart, but it just gives everyone an indication of what you can expect and what we might be likely to do moving forward. Go on to the next one, please, Roy. In the last 12 months, as Roy said, we've done a lot of good work, a lot of positive work. We've continued to sit on the working parties group. That would be the elite, the facilities, and the indoor sports, where we sort of influencing government decisions and trying to put the case forward of squash, as it, everybody's sort of hard on the fact that indoor sports are the worst things to get back up and running. We've been working tirelessly on each of these 4 groups to be able to show that we can return safely and sort of get back to what we'd like to do. We've submitted a raft of proposals that will enable us to do this. Initially, as you know, when we first were allowed back, it didn't involve any match play. It was a lot of social distance routines, conditioned games, exercises, etc. But since then, we've kept campaigning, and we can now say we're able to play, when we are allowed back on court, we can play a modified game of squash, which is excellent news to all of us, not having to do the routines all the time. What we're going to produce at Squash Wales, we will give every club and every venue a comprehensive pack of a return to play. In this pack will be all the Squash Wales guidance, the protocols, example risk assessments, along with a raft of posters in Welsh language and English language, as well as the documents being available in Welsh and English language, of what needs to be done to be able to return to play safely, and that your venue will comply with these guidelines. We also will be sending the guidance to the local authorities, to all the leisure centres, as well as being on a hub called the Knowledge Hub, where all the leisure providers have access to the Squash Wales guidance way before the opening. There's a requirement in the pack. There will be a note where all clubs and venues will need to say and sign a form to say they've read the guidelines and the protocols, and they understand them, and they are going to implement them in the club. The reason for this is we want squash to return safely, but we want to show a good example that we don't want to. It doesn't want to be our sport that's letting anything down. And if we all comply with these guidelines, with the rules and the protocols, we can all return safely in a safe environment. We are working closely with the local authorities, as I've mentioned. We've spoke to a lot of them already, giving them a heads up on the guidance, so it will enable them to open as soon as possible, or it won't be the squash side that's lagging behind for them. But what we do urge you to do is please contact us if your local leisure provider is not in a position to open. We can then help and intervene and try to push things forward. From the last time, we were very successful in nearly every local authority that we did intervene on. Eventually, they did open up. So we urge you that if you're playing out of one of these venues that is not open, please contact us so we can try to help you on that matter. If you go on to the next one, please, Roy. As you can see here, again, I won't go through every detail of this, but this is the Squash Wales roadmap of our return to play. The one thing I would strenuously urge is the dates on here. At the time, they are correct, but the government announcing the end of the week exactly what the timeframes are. This is the indications at the moment, but as you know from previous announcements, they do throw something in left field, and it might be a possibility we're having good indications. They might move it actually forward a week, which is obviously excellent news for us. But these are the guidance of what they are at the moment, of where gyms, etc., can open or can open on the 3rd of May, subject to the Welsh Government announcing this. And as you'll see, the alert levels there, initially it's a solo practice, one-to-one organised coaching, along with same household or extended household. And as we move down down the dates, we're still in alert level 3 on the 17th of May. Where, as you'll see, we can actually play the modified game of squash. In the guidance, there will be the full details of the modified game of squash, but it'll allow players to play people from different households. You can play the internal league, so we can start to get the clubs back up and running by playing the modified game of squash. There will be another area we've campaigned on. A previous lockdown, it was only 2 players maximum to a court. We are now, from the 17th of May, again, providing the government sort of officially announced this on at the end of the week, we can have up to 4 players on a squash court for organised coaching. That's not for doubles, it's organised coaching, which again will enable the clubs up and running with their junior section, even adult section, to get 4 players on a court, organised coaching. As we move down the levels, alert level 2, as you'll see, Squash Wales, again, we've already put proposals in to run pilot events, pilot competitive matches, pilot league matches. And depending on the rates and the information we get from the government, we might be able to then move eventually to a full game of squash with no modifications. But at the moment, it'll be modified squash, and we can play competitive matches, competitive tournaments with the modified game of squash. But like I said, it's excellent news. It's really promising that we can get the clubs back up and running. That, like I said, I think a lot of you were training fatigue, we call it, where, playing routines. There's only so much of that you can do. A lot of people want to play a match, and have a little drink afterwards. But the positive news is we are able to do that now. As soon as the government announced this. As soon as the government do actually officially announce it, our pack and our guidance pack will be sent out. We just need to wait for the exact date so we can cross-reference the dates as we've got on the poster there, and then it'll be sent out to yourselves straight away. Thanks, Roy. I think that's over to you now, right? And I'll take any questions at the end on, or if you put it in the chat box regarding the return to play.
Yeah, so any questions that you think you've got, please put them in the chat box or write them down, and we'll take them later on the good news on the return to play in relation to the modified game. What we want to do now, with the imminent sort of return to play, we want to make you aware of the new sort of operating model linked into the membership scheme that we are now going to deliver. As per the Squash Wales Strategy 2020 and 2025, we've been instructed to conduct a review of our current membership module, right? So during the COVID-19 pandemic, due to the lockdown scenarios, this has given us the ideal opportunity to look at and to facilitate that review. So where are we, right? So during the current season, that's season 2021, no current team membership has been levied to every team playing in the South Wales Leagues and the North Wales Leagues, right? No membership has been levied, despite obviously Squash Wales, or that update I was given, despite us still operating, right? Where required, we will refund the coaching, the refereeing, and the individual membership for this season for those that require it. During this lockdown, we have now purchased a brand new membership platform, a company called Resolve, and the name of the membership is called Go Membership. Various other sports bodies operate this system. As previously highlighted, the data and insight that Squash Wales have previously compiled has been very, very poor and has put us at risk. So we needed to act swiftly in order to purchase this membership platform, right? And within that platform, within this new membership, we are now going to operate a new membership model where every player, every team player playing within the Welsh leagues will pay a subscription of £10, right? And in the next couple of slides, I will demonstrate some of the rewards and the benefits for that £10 and the rationale why we are going down this model. £10 for team membership, £5 for those members looking to join Squash Wales who do not play within a team environment, £5 for junior members, £40 for a coach, and £20 for a referee. We are looking, subject to the restrictions being lifted, to operate this from September this year, right? And the membership will thereafter be driven year in, year out, every April, right? So we try in longer term to align it to April. There is we've purchased a bespoke Squash Wales reward scheme and the benefits aligned to that scheme. There will be no team fees or county fees payable from September. Every fee will be compiled and conducted via the individual subscription, right? So there will be no county fee levied. What does this reward system look like? So for those £10, for those coaches, for those referees, and you do not pay twice, you do not pay 3 times. If you're a coach that plays for a team that is a current referee, you pay the coach's fee. You do not pay 3 times. If you're just a team player, you just pay the £10. What does that mean? For the £10, we have signed a deal with this company that enables us to access various discounted schemes from some 280 online and high street retailers, where varying amounts of discounts are available. And one example of that is we picked up via Tesco's. If, for example, you currently spend £100 a week on your Tesco grocery order, right, or Morrison's or Asda, right, you get a percentage refund based on your Squash Wales membership, all for £10. And the example we put down here, if you spend £100 a week, you will save £208 per year. Fact, right? There are apparently 6,500 outlets in relation to this reward scheme. We are signed up with a company to provide Squash Wales members with this reward scheme. Who is available to access this? If you are a team player, if you are a coach, if you are a referee, right? If you are an individual member. If you are a social member, a £5 sort of member, then there is an option to sign in for an additional £5. Okay? So for £10 as a team member, you get these benefits listed on this page. Additionally, you get all these squash related benefits, which we have working in conjunction and collaboration with these partners. They have agreed to fund us via a scheme as well. So we've got Caracal, squash skills, squash fitness, squash levels, all currently on board. And these sort of benefits are gaining month by month. Hopefully we can add a few more by the time the membership goes live later on at the end of the summer. And again, a classic example, if you're buying £100 squash racket, you will be able to save £20 on that racket, as well as a host of other benefits listed below. More information on this membership scheme will be communicated in the coming months on how, who, when people will be asked to join. Alongside the membership scheme, we are running a fully comprehensive marketing campaign to help us gain as many members, to attract as many new members, and to retain as many of our members as possible. The other reason why we are updating our new operating model and to expand on our membership, right, and looking at new ways of operating, it was clear when we took the initial analysis that Squash Wales, the current way we are working via the county setup and the current membership setting, that is not fit for purpose in terms of delivering what our members needed. Part of the review undertaken established that the perception of the membership was that Squash Wales and the counties added very little value for yourselves within your clubs. Drilling down, further analysis established that the structure within the counties sitting between Squash Wales and yourselves, the core membership, was not effective, not delivering value in key areas. We therefore developed a series of new operating models and discussed them at length with the county committee members over several webinars over the last 9 months. During these discussions, it was clear that inconsistencies and challenges within the county structure meant, again, the membership are not gaining any value. In fact, things were far more complicated than we believe they needed to be. So it was agreed unanimously with the counties that they would cease to exist, and any activity currently undertaken by the county would be managed and funded by Squash Wales, including the membership fees, which I just spoke about. In relation to the affiliation fees, like I said, there will be one amount per member paid. Can whoever's on the call, can we change to mute? Yeah, apologies for that. With regards to the affiliation fees, one amount per member paid directly to Squash Wales on a direct debit standing order basis, automatically renewed unless cancelled. There will be no payments to the counties. There will be no need for the club to collect any monies from their members going forward. We intend to go direct to the individual membership. And basically, if the member does not pay, the member will not be allowed to play within the Welsh League system. We will now drive forward squash in Wales with the help and support of the clubs via these forums, via the face-to-face meetings, right? And demonstrate the added value that we will bring through future engagements. Despite the pandemic, we believe these are exciting times for squash in Wales, and we look forward to delivering a successful and efficient operating model aligned to everyone's needs. So that's a quick overview of the rationale why we are changing, a quick overview of our proposed membership model, right? These will be enlarged on conveyed in future webinars. We are looking to deliver a monthly membership that might well be a north one and a south one, right? Depending on sort of the attendance. There will be other areas within these webinars, right? We are coming to meet you face to face. Obviously, restrictions allowed during the next few months. These webinars will run alongside the face-to-face meetings. We are looking to continue to improve club relationships, right? Develop local plans, receive the feedback and the learning, and add value and get more bums on seats to attract and to retain our current membership. It will not be easy during the pandemic, and we have enlisted the help and support of a marketing company which will help and support us through these next 6 months and beyond. So as it stands today, that's like the list of information, the raft of information we've delivered to you today. Make a note of the next sort of meeting, which is Tuesday the 18th. There will be monthly meetings. As Dave alluded to, coming out of lockdown, going through the tier system, it's a fluid situation, but we are pretty comfortable now at last. We are able, with this modified game, to get back on court and support the clubs on their return to squash. That's all we've got to say for this moment in time. any questions that we have in the chat room.
Roy, do you want me to pick up the pre-submitted questions first?
Yeah, okay, go for it.
Okay, so I've been asked to facilitate this section, everybody. So quite a significant amount of information there and a lot for you to take in. So also have taken questions on this webinar. If anybody has any questions afterwards that they forgot to ask, you can send the question to info@squashwales and we'll happily put that in. We're going to create an FAQ section on our website, excuse me, and we will include all these questions with the answers below. So the first question that we had pre-submitted was, what are Squash Wales doing to make it as easy as possible for new players to access the website and pay their membership fees versus paying the club itself? If you've covered that, Roy, do you want to add anything to what you mentioned?
Not really. It's just like setting up a normal sort of direct debit. It'll be easy to navigate. There'll be a full support campaign to communicate and sell the new membership model with full instructions. I envisage it'll just like a normal setup for a direct debit, function.
Okay, good. All right. And another question was, will the webinars continue to cover the whole of Wales, or will they be split by a region, i.e. north and south?
Yeah, that looks like, 100% it could well be north and south. That depends on the attendance and the uptake. But as a beginning, yeah, we will go north and south. We could go east and west as well, depending on the input from those clubs in that area. We will work with the regional development officers to convey and communicate everything in relation to Squash Wales on our journey over the next few months.
Okay, thanks, Roy. Okay, then turning to the chat. So the first question was from James King, was assume we can have a summary of the modified game rules later. And Dave, you said you're going to run through that at the end, and it's in the pack.
Yeah, no problems. It's the modified game, like I said, the full details will be in the pack that every club has. But it's basically a normal game of squash to 11. At 10 all, there'll be a sudden death point. There's no two clear points. The main difference being after every 5 points, the players are to have a little break where they can towel down, each having a designated area at the front of the court. The ball gets wiped, then you start to play again and you change serve. So a little bit like table tennis, one person serves for 5 rallies. Once you've played your 5 points, you have your break. The ball gets sanitized. The next player then serves for the next 5 points, and so forth until the game is finished. At the end of the game, you have your rest period between games as you would do normally.
Is that really maintaining social distance at the same time? Or is it a normal game? Is that having to maintain 2 meters on court or not?
No, because you that's the idea of the modified game, because you can't play otherwise if you're going to come in closer than 2 meters with each other. But it's minimizing the close contact for any period of time. Hence, you have a break after every 5 rallies. 5 points, sorry, not rallies.
There was also a question, Dave, does this apply to racquetball as well? Yeah,
exactly the same to racquetball. Same break after 5 points, change servers after 5 points, etc. And like I said, there's sudden death. There's no 2 clear points.
Okay. All right, and that will all be circulated anyway. And if you have any questions in the meantime or after receiving the information, then you can always come back to us. Question from Pat Westlick, and I think this has been answered. Does a referee fee include team membership? And Roy, you confirmed that it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question from David Cope. Were you looking at Squash TV to discount? This is in terms of benefits. My understanding is that we haven't. we can certainly ask the question, I'm sure. Your views on that, Roy?
Yeah, discussions initial discussions have taken place with PSA, who run Squash TV. It's just a question where we can hopefully fit it all in.
Okay, good. And then another question from Richard Drinkwater. Will you keep the clubs up to date with who are paid members, only to avoid fielding non-eligible players and losing valuable league points?
Yeah, this question was mooted earlier on in the earlier sort of county webinar a few months ago. This is an evolving process, and one of the options has been mooted that if someone has joined as a social member and is not paid, someone has paid £5 and not paid a £10, then perhaps after sort of 3 games, on the 3rd game, they must sign up to the team's £10 membership. They will be closely monitored because the league organizer will have access to the back office functionality of the membership system, right? Where when you actually sign up, we've got to allocate ourselves a club. So we've got to, during the signing up process, we've got to put what club we are a member of and what club do we play at. So that's how we will monitor the membership back office function and link in with the membership organizer to ensure that whatever rules are stipulated, everyone adheres to those rules. So that is an evolving process going on as we speak now in the background.
Okay. And with membership being paid directly to Squash Wales, how will Squash Wales reach out to new members?
Yeah, well, like I said, we've just buddied up with a major marketing company in Wales, a company, I don't know if people are aware of any marketing companies, a company called Cowshed. They currently run the Run Active sort of scheme with athletics, the park run scheme. We've joined forces with them. They are helping and supporting us as we recognize via this pandemic there are major issues for our sport in both retaining and attracting new membership. So they're on board in the next couple of weeks, and we are working closely with them on our new membership and our the campaign to attract people to our sport.
Okay. Thanks, Roy. And then on a similar theme to a couple of other questions, who's responsible to check an individual is paid his £10 player fee before they are selected to play for a club?
Yeah, so again, everyone who signs up, there's various triggers internally that the back office function, the admin support staff can operate. And like I said, they will be allocated to a club. Our relationship with the club, with the team captains will be fluid. It will continue, right? Whoever succeeds Mike Howe, they will be key in this process to ensure have they paid, who's paid, where they paid. And I envisage that communication will be very fluid and up to date. And like I just alluded to, Phil, there's a journey we need to go on here, and there'll be various sort of rules which again will be conveyed during the next few months on the number of games required to enable that person needs to be a £10 team player, as we calling it.
Yep. Okay, thanks, Roy. And a question from Abby. Are there plans for professional squash in Wales? A few pro players struggling to get in tournaments at the moment. Can clubs work with Squash Wales to host small scale tournaments?
Yeah, Abby. Yeah, we at the start of the pandemic, the Squash Wales board took a stance that we we could have had elite tournaments for our signed off players, but we didn't feel that was fair because the rest of the membership, or the biggest part of the membership, were not able to play squash. So that's the reason we haven't put any events on for the elite players. They've been able to train all through the pandemic, but now we're moving forward. There's obviously a raft of tournaments in England at the moment for the pro players that now all the UK players can enter, just purely because they are a few stages ahead of us. But as we get back and we are allowed to get spectators in, that's the other thing at the moment, is although we can return to play, there is no spectators. So running an event is a little bit probably meaningless at that point. But we can certainly look to work with the clubs when the time arises to be able to put events on for sure.
Okay, good. Thanks, Dave. And a question now from Steve Haysom. Is the new structure, if the new structure goes direct to the clubs, then are county committees to be dissolved? My understanding from that, and Roy, Dave, you were on these calls as well, is that that will be a decision for the counties and the members. If the members still think there is a need for a county committee to act as a sounding board or something like that, then they can continue. But our understanding is that will not be the case. Roy, Dave, do you have a different view to that?
We need to drive participation, Phil, in every region. And we feel the best way of doing that is working directly with the club. The governing body needs to work directly with the clubs to put on and let's reignite participation in that region, and via that club forum, if it's a regionalized forum, you know, whoever wants to come round the table to help and support us and get squash active in that region, we would welcome anyone on board. But as the governing body, we need to drive that agenda.
Okay, good. Thanks, Roy. For you, Dave, so during play, only the server is allowed to touch the ball?
Yes, obviously that's the ideal world, but there will be instances when, you know, if you hit the ball back at yourself, you know, it's just your natural reaction to try and stop it and catch it. But as much as you can, the person who's serving for the 5 points only touches the ball. You can pass it back with your racket.
Okay, good. And question from Jonathan Taylor, does a player fee cover multiple clubs? My understanding of the answer to that is yes. Roy, correct?
Yeah,
good.
100%.
Okay. Are we going to host something? That's very kind of you. Excellent. Look, I think, you know, there are a number of events that will be run in the future. We did have a question, what would happen with inter-county events? What would happen with a county open or a county closed? We are happy to run those, more than happy if there is sufficient interest. And we will run them, we will manage them, and we will fund them. So, but they have to be at a level where enough people are interested to participate. A question from Dave Cook, can you see any negatives with taking the responsibility for fee collection away from the clubs? We didn't, you know, it was felt from people that we spoke to that it was quite onerous and, you know, wasn't effective, and there was sometimes lack of people who were prepared to do it. So there are a whole raft of reasons to do it. We didn't come across any negatives, unless anybody has got any that can give us, but certainly not, there wouldn't be enough negatives to continue with that process. So that was the situation, David. I don't know if that answers your question, or if Roy or Dave have got anything else to add.
Yeah, I see us working, you know, as the governing body, working really close with the drivers in each and every club, to be fair.
Yeah. Okay. And then a question from James King. How do we come up with a modified version that, being honest, makes no difference other than signal that we're doing something in terms of safety? won't make any meaningful difference to the chance of virus spread, but will harm the game we all love. Okay, Dave, do you want to try and I'm not sure.
Yeah, I try to answer that, but yeah, with the sports advisory group that we sit on, as you'll see, all the sports are sort of running modified games, modified netball, the rugby, or different parts, with the help of the Sport Wales doctors. Each look at the individual modified games and decide whether that's possible that we can run those or not. Our doctor has looked through all the modified versions. He's looked at, there's obviously with football and rugby, there's a lot more data out there to know exactly how much close contact and the time you spend with each person. With squash, obviously, is very limited. And they were more than happy with the modified version, hence the go ahead to play.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Look, I think, we all recognize we'd love to get back to where we were before all this, but we're not. And government are very twitchy about allowing anything that could potentially increase infection. So I think it's going to be small steps back to a full play. So it's a challenge. Okay, question from Jason Bennett. Is it worth having a WhatsApp group for general communication and questions answers?
I think it's a fair question, Phil. We'll certainly look at that. Our intention at the moment is via the Q&A to feed that, to take any questions via info@squash.wales. If you feed any questions in there, we will answer them via our website. Formally in a formal section under the COVID sort of page, the return to the play page on our website. So that's the current mechanism that we're looking at to communicate all questions and answers in relation to anything to do with Squash Wales, to be honest, via info@squash.wales. But we'll certainly look at that sort of forum if it warrants looking at.
Yeah, we'll take that away, Jason, and we'll give it some consideration and some additional thought, and then we'll come back with a response to you and everybody else on this call as to what our proposal will be. Okay. Next question is, with the league structure, will the county leagues remain and feed into the South Wales League?
Yeah, the proposal, there is no structural change within the county format currently being proposed. They will still feed into the South Wales League in the south, and then the Eryri League and the North East Wales League. Those will operate as normal. They will come under one umbrella in relation to uniformity with regards to the rules where appropriate, but the structure will still continue, all being coordinated by Squash Wales via the tournament, the league organizer. Mike Howe's new replacement.
Okay, good. And then we've got a comment from Emily Whitlock, who thinks the modified game sounds really good and would be good if the PSA tried it. I don't think we have enough influence on the PSA yet to get them to try it, but we can certainly make them aware of it. A good point. And then a question from James on the start date for leagues. With modified game and no spectators, etc., it will have low uptake as a huge part is the social side. Dave, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, obviously we can't go straight back into league squash. We've been off the court for a year, so it's baby steps, as everyone said. And we started off with the social distance routines the last time. Now, depending on the data, etc., and the Welsh government allowing the restrictions to relax, we're able to play modified squash. So this is the next baby step to get people playing back in the clubs, get the clubs running by playing sort of a game of squash as such, albeit in a modified version. The league squash will be, as you go back to the slides, when we get to sort of tier 1. But we can do, we're looking at a raft of ideas of running league matches, albeit in a modified version. There might be, as the numbers increase indoors, we can get up to a certain amount of numbers being allowed, but that's all driven by Welsh Government guidelines. We'd initially just want to get people back on court safely, playing squash at the moment, and as the restrictions allow us, we will then return to the league as soon as it's safe.
Yep. Good. And as Pat says, way better than nothing. Yeah. Look, baby steps are better than no steps. So I think we should be grateful for that. So that's all the questions that we've got in the chat section now. I don't know if you want to open it up now to the floor, Roy, and if anybody's got any other questions, or if anybody's got anything, any comments or anything they want us to consider, take forward now. We would be happy to receive any of your thoughts.
I've got one question, Phil. First off, really, really good presentation. And I think going forwards, it sounds very sound. One thing that was mentioned when we first kicked, or when you guys first kicked all this off, was around the value of information, just around the number of people actually playing squash. And obviously you're going to get a bucket of information along with the memberships about who's playing team squash. Apart from the GDPR issues, I take it you'd like club information for club members rather than team members as well?
Yeah, Pat, that's definitely an option, but it is like baby steps, same as a return to play. This module, there is a club section to this module, but in the first instance, I want to, obviously, I'm looking to gain in and attract in membership on this platform first, and there's other strands within the membership model to enable us to get up to full function, i.e. The ability for all clubs to capture every part of membership. So that's coming in the future, but that is definitely not in this sort of phase 1. Okay. We are looking to, because this is a complete overhaul of our membership system. This membership system has been in operation for probably 50 years. Right. So this is a complete overhaul, but the platform in itself does enable club interaction, club information, and that, as we go on our journey, that opportunities will be there to capture that information. and to be honest, within our marketing campaign, we are pretty confident that your non-team members, right, driven by the benefits of this reward scheme, yes, we will be looking for your non-team players, your other club members to join Squash Wales for £5, right? And if they want the benefits, all for £10, they can get that benefit. So that's the sort of marketing campaign we are embedding with this company now, so in layperson's terms, for £10, why don't you join Squash Wales and you could save £200 on your Tesco's order next year, right? That's in simple terms, and 280 retailers. And when we start devolving that to the membership, the number of retailers and the number of offers, it's an amazing scheme, which obviously other governing bodies have signed up to. Right. So that's the sort of marketing prowess that this company will help us deliver, and look to attract every squash player, to be fair. So we will go into the local authorities. We will build up the relationship with them as well, let alone our private clubs. So it's a tough ask, but we're on the journey, and it is an evolving process.
Roy, on that topic, there's a question from Dave Cope. That says, how much support will Cowshed give to individual clubs to grow their membership? My understanding is it's not Cowshed that's giving the support, it's us as the governing body.
Yeah, it will be us. Cowshed are working behind the scenes to develop the strands, but 100% it will be us to support each and every club develop their workforce and their membership.
Yeah, and we've got a couple more questions. One is, how will multiple teams within a club be handled re-membership, and how and when they can play up, down for the A, B, C teams, etc.?
Yeah, well, that is linked to the current rules of their counties. We're going to drill down and address those individual rooms, what's allowed, what's not allowed, and look to align every county's team guidance rules. To be honest, so that's how, and pretty simple. If you've got 20 team players in your club, all 20 join, and I can play for the A, B, C, D team, depending on that rule.
Yeah, we're going to have a set of rules for the whole country. So for every league, that will encapsulate every scenario that we built up over the years, and that Mike Howe has built up from his understanding of squash played in Wales. And it will be handled pretty much the same way, that just the rules will apply to every club, every player, every team in every league. That's the proposal. And if anybody wants to submit a request for change to any of the rules, it will be considered by Squash Wales operational team as to whether that is appropriate. Okay, and we've got a couple more now. So, do we know if Better Leisure in Cardiff will be open for squash from the 3rd or the 17th? And what about?
Oh, sorry, Phil.
And what about private clubs, e.g., Rubina?
Well, Better Leisure. I think James, you know about Better Leisure, I think, anyway. So you might have some knowledge on that. But we did have an email from Better Leisure today, asking for our guidance, etc., to be prepared to open. Obviously, we need to wait till the end of the week before we send that to them, to be able to chat to find out what exact date they are looking to reopen. About Rubina, etc. I don't know if there's somebody on here from Rubina. They could probably answer that for you, James. They'll have the guidance like everyone else, but I'm sure most clubs are looking to open as soon as safe and as soon as possible.
Yep. Look, I know from a private club that I belong to, St. Mellons, they're opening on the 3rd. And we've got, the manager of St. Mellons here and the coach. So they're aware of what is required, and they will be seeing that the club is fully compliant for the membership to return.
Oh, and Abby's just typed in David Lloyd, the same as well, looking to open on the 3rd as well. There's another club, and Rubina looking to open on the 3rd. So yeah, there's seems quite a few clubs there, obviously itching to open, which is great.
That's good. Yeah. So it's fine. Is there, Peter, you want a quick question?
I just want to ask one question. I'm assuming that we're going to have a copy of all this, which I can then circulate to my members, because obviously my members, to a certain extent, some do know what's been going on, but the vast majority don't, because they don't stay in touch. So I need to send them something so they quite clearly understand what's going on in the future. And now after we've done all this, seems to be the right time, as we've got some time before September, if that's when we do start the leagues, because the leagues really what our members are interested in. They're not much interested in anything else, to be honest. So it'll be nice to be able to send them something now so they can see what the new membership's about. One or two of them know, most of them don't, all that type of stuff. And presumably you're going to send something through. Is that part of the guidelines you're sending through, Dave, or is that a bit separate?
The membership will be separate from what so I'm sending, or Squash Wales are sending through, Peter. I just, the document I was referring to is just the return to play and the guidance, that's all. But I'm sure Roy will be able to answer with the membership.
Exactly. I think what I understand from the whole of this is there's going to be two documents, really. Your one, Dave, and your one, Roy, and I can circulate that. And what we intended to do after this meeting was I intended to get back to the members and raise the profile a bit more than we've done and say, okay, we're making progress. This is the future. What's your comments on it, guys? Because this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, in relation to the membership structure, Pete, that's an evolving process over the next coming months as as the guidance evolves, as the work with the marketing company and the membership platform, as that evolves, information will be shared, obviously online in these forums as and when appropriate, to be fair, during the next few months. But this webinar 100% was aimed at the return to play with a little bit of a snippet of what is coming in relation to the membership. And this is an evolving process over the next couple of months where 100% people will be kept up to speed on the membership journey also, because that will tie in with us opening up even future, linked to the leagues, linked to the domestic calendar as well. It's an evolving process as we hopefully move through the tiers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I'm just trying to say is that because I know this is a genuinely fluid, and I do understand that the fluidity. What I'm saying is I haven't really gone back and said very much to the membership because it's been so fluid, because there's been very little to say. I think what I'm trying to say is the moment we get to a stage where we can be a little bit more definitive, then I will be able to pass on that information as and when I receive it from Squash Wales, because it will be more definitive than it has been in the past. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
Good. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Just one other sort of question, which Howard has asked from Swansea, Phil, which is are there any guidance on changing shower facilities? As we look at it today, Howard, the directive is that all changing and shower facilities should not be open at this moment in time.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's great. Thanks, Roy. It seemed that last year we were stuck between two strands where we had some gyms locally were open with facilities and shower facilities, and they were being managed, cleaned, etc. And yet the guidance coming from Squash Wales was, yeah, you shouldn't have, shower facilities open, and it limited the people coming back to play because they didn't want to play and then not be able to shower. Because a bit easier in the summer if you can stand outside and possibly cool off, but coming into a bar and having a drink when you're all hot and sweaty is not good for the environment of anybody else in the bar or the furniture in the bar itself. So it was just trying to get a bit of a guidance. I did talk to somebody in England and they'd set up alternate shower cubicles and things like that. So I know it's all down to each individual environment and whatever facilities you've got, but something along those lines do help to bring squash back into full stream.
Yeah, and to be honest, I would totally agree with you on your point there. We are seeking other guidance and advice from other places and facilities that do operate shower facilities safely, which then we can try and put that into our guidance to give clubs the option. But at present, it's like you say, all the local leisure centres, all the showers are all closed because it's not commercially viable to be able to clean the shower after every person has used it. And most club showers are not cubicles; they're all in a sort of an enclosed area. So initially, it's no showers, but we are looking into this to try and get sort of further guidance that we can present to you guys to see if it is viable for you then.
That'd be great. As soon as you've got that, it'll help us to move forward as well then.
Okay, no problems.
I've got one more question for you, David. I think this is obvious, but I'll make the obvious statement. Clearly, we're at the leisure centre. I'm assuming the information you're going to send to me will be sent to the leisure centre as well, because clearly I've got to operate with them in terms of what we do. Because I suspect that 95% of what may be in your document affects more to the leisure centre than it does to me. Is that correct?
Yeah. All the guidance, it'll get sent to the club as well, Peter. But it'll be sent to all the leisure operators because obviously they need to check that they have everything in place to reopen the squash courts. In our case, like every other governing body, will be sending them their guidance to be able to open for swimming, etc. So the club will get it, but the leisure facility or the leisure operator will receive the guidance as well.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, is there any more questions? Or does anybody want to make any points? Is there anything
I have one question. If the leagues do start back up in September and there's certain clubs that are not playing squash, what happens to those clubs?
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. Sorry, Dave. What was that again? Sorry.
If the leagues do start back in September, clubs like Merthyr and I've read Barry, we may still not be playing squash. The rumour in Merthyr is we won't be playing squash till January. Where do we stand as a club?
And that was certainly the tenor that we got from Barry Leisure, in that they're just not interested in reopening the squash courts for squash. They want to use the space for something else.
And I think Aberdeen may be the same. They may have one court.
And that's very interesting, guys. I haven't heard that from Abergavenny Leisure Centre, but it sounds to me like that might be a general thing by the sounds of it.
I think it's down to the management company for those leisure centres, and they're all acting, all the ones under a particular company, which used to be Park Leisure. I think they've just taken a view that the density of play and the revenue they get for it for the area of the court isn't valid anymore.
So can I ask then that anybody on this call, if you have any information with whether it's factual or rumour, with regards to court usage, courts opening, court closing, being used for anything else, can you feed that into us in Squash Wales so that we can make inquiries on your behalf?
Well, I will check with Abergavenny Leisure Centre in Monmouthshire what their view. I haven't heard this, but I will go and check tomorrow and see what their view is. Is it in line with what David wrote out in terms of May the 3rd, May the 17th, this, that, and the other? I will find that out, because this is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, in our communications with all the local sort of authorities, you know, on our journey over the last few months, where there's this X amount of local authorities where previously we had no relationship, to be fair, and a lot of them are like private owned trusts. To be fair, you know, a lot of them have been enthused and given us the respect of listening to us. We have been, you know, deep dive in with a couple of local authorities, none of the ones that have been mentioned here, in developing specific squash strategies for their trust, which is in effect their local authority moving forward, which is very encouraging. But I personally, as the operating team, 100% have not heard that information from both the Merthyr side of it and the leisure centres within the Vale, to be honest. So we look at that.
Right?
Yeah.
I've spoken to Active Merthyr. There is a meeting this week, and the feeling I've got, as you know, it is not good.
Yeah.
Nothing official yet.
So we look at.
I'll be speaking to you towards the end of this week.
Yeah, we look at that, but officially no one has conveyed that in our discussions with the 22 sort of local authority trusts, whatever, that we've been dealing with at the moment.
Yeah, and James suggests that every public leisure centre hates squash. Well, we know that's not the case, and some have a view that's different to others, but I don't think they hate squash. It has its challenges depending on the leisure centre. Some welcome it and have a thriving squash community, but you know, whatever the issues are, we're happy to pick those up and discuss those with whoever is in a position of authority and see what we can do to support in that area. Somebody's asked a question as well, John Bennington, about the risk assessment actions. Risk assessment actions we agreed earlier still required? Dave, can you talked
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, they're pretty much they're all the same, John, with a few obviously a few additions with the new modified game, with the hand sanitizers, etc. But again, within the pack, read through. It's a new version, so you have to have a look to see what's applicable to your venue and to your club. We've covered off as everything that that we can possibly think of for all the venues, but the majority of it is still actually the same, all in place. But double check it just to see what suits for your club and your venue.
Okay, good. Thanks for that. Okay, any other comments, any other questions?
Pembrokeshire Leisure will be open.
Yeah, so
From
that.
Wally, I think the statement, every public leisure centre hates squash statement, is very wrong. Okay. You don't work in the leisure centre, Wally, do you? Thank you.
In terms of, we've had a lot of questions and we're still prepared to take some more. Is there any feedback anybody would like to give Squash Wales in terms of, what you want, what you need, what you want from us, what you think we're doing well, what you think we could do differently, anything you want us to consider moving forward? This is your opportunity to have your say now, good and bad. And we're not here to judge. We want, if the comments are justified and they are critical, we're happy to receive them, because if we don't know what you're thinking and feeling, we can't act on it. So if anybody's got any observations they'd like to share with us, more than happy to receive them.
I've got only one, which comes back to one of the points before. I would like to get something out to my members to explain the new membership structure and make it quite clear that this involves giving information centrally, and how that would work, because there is a school of thought within the club concerned about GDPR and how that's all going to be handled and blah, 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 something which I got on top of for my own club, and now it's certainly for you guys. And I know that there is a school of thought, I don't know how large it is, which is why I'd like to make it formal, that they need to understand that it's going to involve them dealing directly with Squash Wales. And I think I need something from you guys as a formal document to present that to.
Okay, Peter, we'll put something together that I think everybody can use for all their membership on this topic. I know it is a question that people do have a concern. We are fully GDPR compliant. We will be confirming that the information will not be used for anything other than internal use in managing squash more effectively. And we're not asking for any details that is of significant value to anyone else anyway, but we'll put something together and we'll get that circulated to everybody in due course.
I think that's a good idea, Phil, because I honestly believe that if we get that right, then this will sail through, to be honest with you. But the reality is people are nervous. That's all it is. They're nervous.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. Understand that.
Dave, on the basis that Drakeford is not going to mention squash by name in any of his announcements, do we have a bellwether that we can watch for in any of the announcements as to when we think that we'll be able to get to the modified game? Whether it's, we know gyms are reopening and we thought that would be it, but it's obviously not.
Yeah, I'm not his assistant, Pat, so I don't know any more than you. But no, it's classed as the indoor sports. But okay. What the reason why it was after the 3rd of May was initially it was gyms, and it was one-to-one coaching in gyms. There was no group like sort of dance classes or fitness sessions.
Okay.
As soon as the fitness sessions came back in, that's when we put the modified game in as more of a group, because you're mixing with people from different households.
So are we thinking 17th, or is it the next chance after that?
No, at the moment it's the 17th, providing that the gyms are open on the 3rd for one-to-one. Then the group exercises, this is what they've sort of planned out beforehand. The group sessions were able to start on the 17th. So we've aligned ourselves to that. Rumor has it, though, that they're thinking about moving things forward again. Like, even last night they mentioned something. So, it could potentially be as early as the 10th. He might say group activities from the 3rd. You know, we're in the dark in that front, other than what they've told us already, in that it looks like the 3rd and the 17th.
There's an election on, isn't there?
Well, yeah, so might be tomorrow, Pat, if he's depending how the vote counts go. But no, it's when for us, we're putting the modified game into place when the group activities, exercise classes, etc., are allowed in the centres.
So obviously echoing what Peter's said, the more information we can get out to our own members and get them on board, that would be very, very welcome. So thank you very much.
And to be honest, Pat, we've got the as you can see, we've got the documents ready to go. We just need to wait for confirmation of that official announcement, you know, for those exact dates. That's all. As soon as, if they make that announcement tomorrow, we'll be able to send the documents out. We need to wait for the official announcement. That's all.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, all. I've got to sign off now. Cheers.
Thank you, Pat.
I've got a wacky idea. Why don't we invite Johnson down to a game of squash to open everything up? That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Against Drakeford.
Well, no, I don't think that's much. Well, actually, Drakeford will probably play better than me. But I was just thinking, I don't know. I mean, it's the sort of thing that Johnson loves. He loves stuff like that, doesn't he?
Tell him that squash is going to form a breakaway or something.
Yes, exactly. I'll talk to David Davis. Oh, mate. David Davis and I communicate regularly, so that'd be quite funny. I'll wind him up a bit. He needs a bit of winding up, David. Anyway,
okay.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay. Obviously, the biggest risk to us playing regularly again is if we get an outbreak in a club. Is there a protocol that we have to follow? Do we have to keep records of who's playing who, or what do we do? Because if one of us goes down and it's related back to a squash club, then that will go negatively against us getting back to squash.
Yeah, that's all in the guidance, John.
That's all in the guidance.
It is there, is it?
You need to book in advance who you're playing.
Yeah.
And then follow the NHS.
No, that's great. That's okay.
Then.
Okay. I didn't pick that up when you did the presentation.
Yeah, it's all there, John.
Sorry, it wasn't in the presentation. It's in the informative pack, the detailed pack that we send out to you all.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the biggest risk to all of us playing regularly again, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
that's biggest risk when we go shopping everywhere, isn't it? That's the thing. We don't want it coming back to a squash club, and that's why we're trying to be as safe and as diligent as we possibly can be.
I don't sweat shopping, mate.
Well, you want to come to my shop then, where the crowd's in there?
Do it online now. All right, bud. So,
okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, I've got a question. You asked earlier, if there was anything that you thought, we might think could have been done different or do different. Mm-hmm. A lot of people got frustrated last year about the fact that in England they could play 6 people in a squash bubble in a club and play each other, and yet in Wales, realistically, no one's had a squash game in over a year, and that's been quite frustrating. I mean, obviously, I don't know, who that's down to, the Welsh government or whoever, but that has been a frustrating thing. And when this modified game comes in on the 17th, how many people will we be allowed to play against? Or would it be limited to extended households, etc.?
Yeah, no, it's not extended household, because the extended household comes in from the 3rd. And your household. This modified game, because of the minimal contact time that you're in, you can play anybody.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that is great. Yeah.
I thought that was the 17th. Sorry.
That's the 17th. Yeah. No, what I was saying about the extended household, that's from the 3rd.
I thought the 3rd was just the household.
No, household and extended household from the 3rd. Okay. According to Welsh Government guidance, when they make the announcement. The 17th, we're then bringing in the modified game. We're in line with the group activities when they bring that in.
Right. Okay. That's the trouble. There's so many bloody rules.
Yeah. No, there is. Yes.
Confusing sometimes. Okay. Thank you.
But look, you will be given everything you need in terms of what you need to do and who you can play against and when and how. You will have everything you need from us.
Good.
Okay. Okay, any more questions before I pass it back to Roy to wrap up?
All I have to say is thank you very much, gentlemen. I think you've done a pretty good job considering what you've had to deal with over the last year. So I thank you for your involvement.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Supporting the United in Merthyr has been brilliant. Thank you.
Good. Okay, then back to you, Roy.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for everyone for joining us on this webinar. Like I said, the webinar's been recorded just over an hour and a half, so good bedtime listening for someone to put on after Line of Duty next Sunday, I believe. And then and I think it'll be better. There's a better cast anyway than Line of Duty, I think.
Well, it's better than watching pornography. You're right, Roy. Much better.
Yeah, more twists in this meeting anyway. But many thanks for coming. The next one will definitely be May the 18th, the next formal webinar. But in the meantime, look out for the social media, look out via the newsletters, via the website for up-to-date information as and when we have got it. We've captured all the questions here on the call. We will publish an up-to-date FAQ on our website within the next week or so as well, with the new sort of guidance and everything up to date. So many thanks for joining us tonight. Keep safe, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you back on court. And let's hope I'm not refereeing you. Okay.
Well, we all echo that. Okay.
Well, just one other thing. I should have said this. Is there anything, after 40 years, Michael Howe deserves something for his time, doesn't he, really? Are we planning anything for him?
Yes, we plan. We're planning an inside drink next week, Pete. So if you can come, but no, we plan 100% after 40 years.
It's a hell of a time. It's a hell of a time.
We will definitely do something to recognise Mike Howe and the 40 years service he has given to squash.
Well, I know there are people at Abergavenny who would want to contribute to that in some way. So please let us know.
Yeah, that is definitely, because he only told us last week.
Right.
He left field meeting, but that is definitely something that we are looking into.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks
Bye.
all. Thanks,
Bye.
thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Roy, I remember you laughing at 5 serves a couple of years ago.
Sorry? Laughing at 5
I
serves.
remember you laughing at 5 serves.
I know.